What's your niche? Do you describe it as a job title or a role? Or do you describe a profile of what your ideal client looks like or where they live? Most people think of these two things when they think of niching, and I don't think that works very well for coaches and consultants. Demographics used to be how marketers divided up the world, and it's still what most marketing and sales advice tells you to do. For a time, this seemed to work, but in today's world, it increasingly doesn't. For coaches and consultants, I think using demographics as a niche almost never works. So what's a better way to find your niche? Let's find out. A lot of industrial era marketing focused on demographics, which are what people look like, what they do and where they live. This way of thinking about people can still be useful and effective if you're doing high-level brand marketing. This is essentially just getting your brand in front of people. However, brand awareness marketing is almost impossible to link to sales. It's really just about getting your brand seen enough times so that when someone makes a transactional level purchase, they remember your name and choose your brand. So for big brands, this is just a cost of doing business. They spend hundreds of thousands, if not millions a year, just to get people to remember their name. For the vast majority of businesses, you don't need to do this kind of marketing at all. Instead, it's far more effective to focus on what we call psychographics, which looks at psychological variables such as what people like, want, believe and do. In other words, it's not what they are, but who they are. When thinking about and describing who your ideal clients are, the best place to start is with people's worldview. When we want to market to people based on what they believe, dream and want, it's less important what they look like or how they present themselves. In marketing terms, this means putting psychographics over demographics. Because demographics used to be how marketing worked. You could buy lists of housewives or accountants or whoever and then try and sell to people based in these categories using your assumptions that you've made about how they live their lives. Facebook, which is now Meta, took this to the extreme, breaking down people's demographics in a baffling array of ways to target people based on data it lifted, and by which there we mean stole, from their online behaviour. In the modern world, where and how we work and live no longer slots into these neat little demographic labels, and therefore demographics are becoming less and less effective. Using psychographics, on the other hand, focuses on people's beliefs, desires and behaviours. Effective and ethical marketing identifies and creates anticipated, personal and relevant marketing messages for specific groups sharing common psychographics. So to move away from demographic thinking, let's try an exercise. Thinking about your ideal client, ask yourself these questions. What are they thinking, feeling or doing before they start working with you? What is the change that they seek to make? And what's stopping them? Your answers to these questions will tell you more about your niche. Now, you might be thinking, hang on Simon, this all sounds good, but I work with accountants and I've been working with them successfully for many years. Why do I need to change that? You may have a demographic niche already, and if that's working for you, then I'm not here to tell you that it isn't. But thinking about psychographics lets you dive deeper and explore your niche in more detail. For example, with the questions that I just stated, you can move beyond accountants to accountants who want to set up their own firm and are looking for a confidence boost, or accountants who've just qualified and are looking to network but they're feeling overwhelmed or a bit lost and don't know where to start. The benefit of being able to describe your niche with a level of psychographic detail is that your target market will instantly identify with it. It makes people say things like, wow, that is exactly me, or I know someone just like that. Niching your business is important, but don't get hung up on it because it will evolve. Your niche is just for now and it doesn't have to be set in stone. You can and should be developing your niche as you work with more and more clients, because you'll become clearer on who it is you want to work with and who can get the most benefit out of working with you. So the first step in finding out more about your niche is to answer those questions that I said earlier, and then use those answers to find a new way of describing who you want to work with, and then you can try it out the next time someone asks you, so what do you do? This has been a very brief overview of how this process works. I go into a lot more detail in my book, Reframing Marketing, a 3-step guide to effective and ethical marketing. So if you want to create a journey for your client to go on and to have more conversations with the people who are ready to do the work, then you might want to give it a read. You can order your copy directly from me at reframingmarketing.com. Thanks very much for listening, and I hope this podcast has got you thinking. If you'd like to get a notification of when the next episode is released, then simply press the follow button wherever you're listening to this podcast.